My name is Virginia Howard Mullan, and in 2021, my book was published, What Remains: The People and Places of California's Expositions.
What Remains is a great romp through a few of the more famous world fairs and expositions that happened in California. It holds lots of information for exposition buffs, but anyone with an interest in history or curious about the last century will enjoy this engaging work.
What unique aspect of your book will draw readers?
It's from the perspective of people that attended the fair, not the people putting on the fair. And so what's important to the people that went to the fair are the relationships of who they went with and things that happened to them, like run stockings or losing a hat in the car on the way there, or maybe it was their first kiss, or they fell in love with a gal that was singing. One newspaper guy got to interview Eleanor Roosevelt and was on a completely different page in terms of politics from her, but ended up sitting down with his shoes off and her shoes off, just talking for several hours while they were waiting for the president to come around. So just interesting little stories about what happened to people.
What inspired you to write this book?
I worked at the Museum of Us, formerly the Museum of Man, down in San Diego in Balboa Park, where a lot of the fairs happen, and saw a lot of the World's Fair displays from 1915 there. And then when my mom died, I wanted to talk to her friends. And instead of talking about her dying, I could say, "Oh, I hear you went to a World's Fair. What was that like?" And, just seeing the light in their eyes and what they were talking about, what they were excited about their youth, it was intriguing.
What was your process of archive research for this book?
I interviewed a lot of people. Like I said, I started interviewing Mom's friends. So I was talking to a lot of old people. And I was writing down what they said. And then I wouldn't believe what some of them said. Like my Auntie Clara, she told me that she got this 4-inch plastic rubberized Ford when she went to the fair. I thought, yeah, right. Like they're handing those out to everybody that comes through the door. Yeah, right. And then I talked to another guy, Ernie Sable, and then he still had his. His son has it. It's blue. Auntie Clara's was green. I go, oh, they really did hand out these rubberized, these honking things free to everybody. I just kept talking to people. And then I went to a lot of libraries. I read a lot of postcards. I went to a lot of history centers and looked in their files. I read old newspapers. I went down to San Diego, and they have, the San Diego History Center has this incredible, like an entire wall of pictures from the fair. They've done a really nice job collecting people's memories of the fair. So a lot of interviews that were done like in the 1960s with people that were older that attended these early fairs, and then they continued that. And so there's a lot of first-hand data there from 1915 and 1935, 1936 of how people felt when they were going to the fair. It wasn't like now where we know things instantly as they're happening with our iPhones and everything. They hadn't seen a pig that big before, or they hadn't heard about that kind of hoe. They were all excited about bonsai trees and tea from Japan, and stuff that we think's kind of pedestrian now was so unbelievable. They didn't have any experience really with traveling around the world. Only the rich could do that. And so it was the first time people ever saw other people from other cultures, from other walks of life that were different from who they were. There was a lot of awe and feeling a part of something bigger.
How did Indigenous people become a significant theme in your book?
When I started seeing all these Indigenous people in all the fairs in California, they didn't have names in association. A lot of times they didn't even have their tribe in association with them. And it became kind of calling for me to find the names of these people that were in these photographs. The worst offense of this I saw, of not having names in association with Native American people, was there was a white guy and his puppet and another man that was indigenous, and it had the white guy's name first and last, the puppet's name first and last, and chief. And I thought, this has just got to stop. This isn't right. These things were all so risque. This is the time of freak shows, and so they put people back in the day. They put people on display if they were little people, if they were bigger than usual. So those people were all on display at the World's Fairs too, and anything that was different or unique was exploited in this way. I kind of went on a deep dive of looking for the names of the indigenous people that were attended these fairs. And I read some of the Department of Interior's end of the year findings, and I realized that some of these people were checked out like library books and taken to fairs. They were taken off reservations. It's not enough to just say there were Indians there. It's like, well, what was that person's name? And what was their story? And so I kind of did a deep dive on that, but I had to stop because that's another 20-year project. But the best example of that, I was driving down with a friend down south, and we stopped at the Fresno Library. It has a really great genealogy section, and we were doing some family tree stuff. And I said, do you happen to have anything on the World's Fairs? This is after the book has already gone to print. To the proof section, and I found people's names. I had to stop the process, redo the book. I added 4 pages to the book just because I found more names.
What creates your deep connection to the World's Fair?
I just like people, and I think people are goofy and do a lot of interesting things, and they're trying to be good a lot of the time, and they mess up, but people are interesting, and that interests me. This venue of World's Fairs is just one way to express that. History is messy and is not the sanitized version I certainly learned about in 4th grade, but it's sure interesting.
What remains is coupled with the background story of the expositions themselves, how the exhibits came to be, how some communities were forever changed by hosting, a bit of the politics and culture of the times making visible the progress and prejudices of that American era. A uniquely interesting and well-rounded view of California's fairs.
If you're interested in people, then it's a great book for you.
What Remains by Virginia Howard Mullan.